Today, we are talking about a topic that can make or break your entrepreneurial journey, and that is your business plan. So, whether you're just starting out or maybe you're refining your vision, avoiding some of these common traps in business planning can save you a ton of time, ton of money, and headaches. So, let's dive into the 5 costly mistakes that I'm seeing people make all the time and how you can avoid them. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Shanice and I help corporate professionals turn their skills into successful businesses. So, all right, what are some of these mistakes that I'm seeing out there? The first one that I'm seeing right now is all about overcomplicating the plan, right? So, a lot of new entrepreneurs feel that their plan needs to be a 50-page document with charts, graphs, and endless details. But here's the truth: simplicity wins. Now, there's a lot of reasons why people can overcomplicate things, not just their plans, but even things in general. And when I was thinking about this as I was putting this together, funny story kind of popped up in my mind. And it was maybe about 2 years back, and I decided to travel out of the country for the first time with my parents. And I love her to death, but she's going to die that I'm making fun of her. My mom completely overcomplicated the trip. So we get on the trip, I think we were going to be gone for like 10 days. And I had a backpack that was my carry on and just kind of had the stuff that I was going to need on the plane. And it was like a 20-plus hour plane ride. And my suitcase that went under the plane. My mom had, I think, like 2 suitcases, 3 carry-ons, including entire bag. Like she literally brought like a whole duffel bag of snacks because she was afraid that they weren't going to feed her on the plane or that she wasn't going to like them. And I just remember like, going through the airport, carrying my stuff, carrying my mom's stuff. And I think I made fun of her like 90 times during that trip. Like, oh my gosh, my mom brought a whole bag full of snacks, right? But sometimes as business owners, like we get in that trap too. We have these moments where we're afraid that we're going to forget something, we're going to mess something up. What about this? What about that? And we just overcomplicate. So instead of being able to navigate really easily through an airport, you end up with 3 extra bags that you didn't even need because you're so afraid that something, like I said, is going to get messed up or you're going to forget something off. So don't do that, especially when it comes to your business plan. And honestly, it should only answer kind of these main 3 things. And that's, what are you offering? Who is it for? And how will you reach them? And if you get stuck in the weeds, you'll lose sight of that main goal, which is all about taking action. And we've talked about before that, you can't really let this idea of like perfection and everything has to be perfect get in the way of progress because there's so much that you learn as you go. And you don't want to spend time honing and perfecting something that may end up needing to be tweaked along the way. So don't allow this whole idea of overcomplication and overcomplicating the plan get you stuck and disallow you from moving forward. So keep it clear, focused, and actionable. And honestly, like this plan of yours, like it's going to be a living document. It's meant to guide you, not overwhelm you. And you'd be surprised how many times you go back to it and tweak and adjust as the time goes with things that you might not have even thought about initially. All right, so overcomplicating the plan, mistake number 1. The second thing that I'm seeing people kind of fall into this trap about is ignoring the market. So it's easy to fall in love with your own idea, but you have to ask, does anybody want this? And I get it, right? Like we all have these babies, we all have these things that we're passionate about, these things that we want to do, maybe even a particular way that we want to put them out into the world. But we have to stop and think, when we're business owners, it's no longer about us. It's about the people that we serve. So if there are things that the people that we serve need, if there's a way that the people that we serve want to consume, what are we doing to meet that need, right? Like if we love the idea, I'm trying to think of a really good example here. I think I might have told you guys, like my son, he's really getting into 3D modeling and like really wanting to delve into that. But with 3D modeling, like it's such a visual aspect, probably going and like doing a blog on it isn't going to be as impactful as like a YouTube channel or something that's going to be a little bit more visual for people to consume, right? So understanding not just what is it that people want, but how do they want to consume it is huge. So even if there are things that you love to do or you find yourself leaning into more often than not, don't forget to ask, is this something that my market cares about? So before you build, validate, right? Take that extra time, talk to those potential customers, run surveys, or maybe even pre-sell your product or service and see what's resonating in the market. And another thing you can do as well is look at what's already out there, right? What is it that people are paying for? What are the things that people are refusing to pay for? What problems aren't being solved? And figure out how can you position yourself in a way to help meet those needs. And if you skip this step, you run the risk of building something that nobody actually wants, right? And I don't want anybody to be in that place where you've put time and energy into creating something and there's not a market for your creation. So don't be afraid to take that time, use that extra time to take that step, do your homework, and let the market guide you. All right. So, mistake number one, overcomplicating the plan. Mistake number two, ignoring the market. And then the third thing is going to be about underestimating costs. So, costs are going to be variable, right? Depending on what it is that you're doing. There may just solely be startup costs, there may be product costs, right? It kind of just depends. But I see this all the time, right? People think they can bootstrap their way to success without a clear idea of what things actually cost. So be honest about your expenses. Factor in everything, whether that's marketing, that's tools, softwares, legal fees, maybe even your own time. And it's always better to overestimate than underestimate, right? Same thing with, the personal life, right? It's better to kind of look at that budget and assume, okay, I'm going to need this much for groceries and gas, and find yourself with a little extra at the end instead of the other way. So when you're thinking about your business and you're putting together what is it that, you're going to need to spend money on, what is it that your expenses are going to look like, are there going to be website fees? Do you have to pay somebody to do, your logos? What is, the cost to have a dedicated domain? All of these things go into cost. And don't forget to plan for the unexpected, right? There may be some things that kind of jump out there that you didn't realize that you needed, and set aside a buffer for those, kind of quote unquote, like just in case moments. So this is one can sometimes get people into a little bit of trouble. So make sure that you're thinking ahead in this perspective and really being honest with yourself what some of those costs are going to be that you're going to incur as you create this business plan. The next thing, no clear differentiator. So when you think about this, this is really going to be you and your clients kind of answering that question, why should somebody choose you over the competition? And if your plan doesn't answer that, you'll struggle to stand out. So think about your unique strengths, your story, or a special offer that only you can provide. And this is your, why you factor. And even if there is something that you're selling that, there's maybe something already in the market, right? Like there's not a ton of things that are completely new under the sun. But what is the way that you bring it to market that's unique to you? What is the way that is different? What's your unique spin? What is your, maybe your way that you go about solving that particular problem for your customer? A lot of different things in there. And another thing that kind of comes to mind, working with somebody in the past who was looking to launch something around homeschooling, and kind of asking them, like, what is your unique differentiator, right? Like there's, homeschooling has really kind of taken off over the past few years post COVID. A lot of people are out there kind of talking about it right now, but one of the things that really made this individual stand out was how long she had done it, how many kids that she had, the fact that she had actually done homeschooling in multiple states. So there were a couple of things that kind of set her apart than from other people that were doing it, and the approach to it was unique, right? So think about yourself, like what are those things that make you unique, not just personally, but even the way that you approach the problem that you're going to be helping your customer solve. And if I didn't say before, like make it obvious in your business plan, and make sure it's something your audience actually cares about. So if you were talking about, right, like my son who I was talking about, really looking into getting into 3D modeling, if he's going to put something in his business plan about what makes him unique, people probably don't care that, it probably isn't going to matter that he's an only child, right? And that's just a crazy example, right? But make sure it's something that your audience actually cares about. And then the last mistake that I see people making right now is failing to set measurable goals. So I have always been really, really big on kind of goals and goal setting and making sure that they're measurable, making sure that they're time bound, making sure that they're very clear. And one of the things that I used to tell people on my team all the time is if you, me, and a third person can look at a goal or something that you've set down as a target, and we all come up with a different way to state it or a different way that we are kind of visualizing it. It's not clear, right? It's not clear. It's not measurable. So I would have people on my team who would write down goals like, I'm going to get better at public speaking. And I'd be like, okay, well, what does better mean? Does that mean that you want to be able to go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes? Does that mean you want to get a standing ovation? Does that mean, you want your speaking ability to, really grasp the audience? Like what does, better mean? So when you're looking at your goals and you're looking at the things that you've set down, make sure that they're measurable. How do we know when we have achieved them? And do you, does a third person all kind of reach that same conclusion as to when you've achieved that goal? So use that as kind of a barometer, so to speak. And honestly, like if you've got these goals and they're not clear, they're not trackable, like it's just a wish list, right? At the end of the day, like let's be honest with ourselves, it's just a wish list if we don't have a way to make it clear, if we don't have a way to track it, if we don't have a way to say like, okay, we have achieved this thing. So targets you can actually measure, like revenue, number of clients, products sold, things like that are going to be goals that you can lean into as far as measurable goals, and break these big goals into smaller milestones so you can see your progress and adjust as you go, right? Like it can be a little tricky to be like, okay, here's my 10-year goal, or here's my 12-month goal. Okay, what does that look like month over month, week over week? So don't be afraid to do that. It'll kind of give you a sense of accomplishment as you go through, and it'll help you manage, staying on track. I am getting ready to homeschool EJ, and like even as I've been like creating his curriculum, it's like, okay, we're not going to say this is what's going to be done by Friday, or this is what's going to be done at the end of the month. Like for him, like he needs very clear, this is what's being done on Monday, this is what's being done on Tuesday, this is what's being done on Wednesday. So we're not just trying to knock out everything at the last minute. So if you're that same kind of person, right, go ahead, break it down, whether that's a weekly, a monthly, a daily goal even, so that you can stay on track and you have those moments of progress that kind of keeps bolstering you and keeps cheering you on as you go along. Helps keep you motivated, and it will help you guys spot problems early on, right? So if you realize like, hey, I'm a little bit behind, 2 weeks in a row I've missed a goal, okay, where do I need to adjust? So don't be afraid of setting goals. I know sometimes it can be a little bit daunting because then it's like, oh, what happens if I miss it? What happens if, but it's a good thing, right? It helps you stay on track and it helps you know where you need to adjust. So to recap, the 5 costly mistakes to avoid in your business plan are overcomplicating things. I almost said overcomplimenting. Overcomplicating things. Don't make things crazy. Don't make things difficult. It should answer just these core 3 questions. The second thing is ignoring the market. Yes, there may be things that you love and you care about, but if your customers don't love and care about them, does that make sense? Is there alignment, right? We want to make sure that there's alignment between what we're putting out there and what our customers are looking to receive from us. Underestimating costs, not having a clear differentiator, and then lastly, failing to set measurable goals. So if you can avoid these, you'll be way ahead of most new entrepreneurs. And remember, like your business plan, it's a tool. It's there to guide you. It's not there to collect dust. And it really, truly is this living, breathing document. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect the first go round. There's probably going to be things that you find yourself editing and adjusting as the days, the weeks, the months, the years go on, and that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, what is the biggest challenge that you face in building your business plan? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm here to help. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.